Hey, what do you say? This is Bobby Blitz from Overkill, and you are watching Interview Under Fire.
All right, this is going to be just a straight up conversation, bro. Welcome back to Texas.
Yeah.
All right. When's the last time you guys were here? Like, you guys, this is the fourth Texas date.
Well, this is our fourth Texas date on Wings of War. We came through on the grinding wheel. We usually do two runs. And the first one is kind of the Midwest and the East Coast.
Yeah.
And the second run starts on the West Coast, and then we come down and hit I-10 and just go all the way across the country.
So, last time you guys were here were 2017.
I would say 17. Then, yeah.
So I gotta ask you, you guy from Jersey, what do you think of when you hear the word Texas? The first thing that comes to your head.
Well, I think good things. I mean, I got
always good things.
I got a girlfriend in Texas.
Oh, there you go, man. That's how it goes. That's fucking awesome.
I think she just bought me a killer pinky ring yesterday.
That's awesome.
I mean, I like Texas. I think of it always as, one of the stronger states, if that makes any sense. And I'm not ass-kissing here, but there's a lot of individual liberties that Texans just refuse to give up that other people seem to hand over quite easily.
It's kind of like just a country, almost like a country, just by itself.
It's like a country. I'm not trying to be political here, but I mean, you have a vibe unto yourself, and it's. You could say, for instance, in New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, they do this. Oh, in Texas, we don't do that.
Do they do that in Texas? I'm sure like every other state's like, let's see what they do in Texas. Of course, it's like a whole different.
It's a great fucking vibe. I mean, it's good people. I'm not saying I'm a New Jersey guy, born and bred, but when I come down here, I mean, I can feel the difference, and let's just say I like it.
And before we move on, like the thrash movements, like Rigor Mortis, Power Trip, Pantera, like we have that, going for them, and you start out with the thrash metal scene. Power Trip looks up to you guys. So I think that's just a huge connection that just from where you first started and then now you're here.
Sure.
Like the bands that are in the up and coming. But this is a new decade. You've been at this thing for 40 years, 40 decades.
Just about 40 years.
Yeah. So first tour of 2020 with the Exporter and Hydroform. How does it feel like you're starting like a new era with the new chapter? You guys are, I want to say not towards the end of the Wings of War tour, but maybe something like a new chapter beginning with this new tour, like kind of like a fresh start with this new decade.
I think that's kind of hard to anticipate at my age. I mean, I think the part of it is that you think of it as always fresh, and that's what makes it exciting. But I mean, the fucking reality is you're hanging out for dear life.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean, we're at the gas monkey. We have to look at it, for what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I always think that it's new in my head, and I think that that's what keeps it exciting on the stage, or exciting in the studio, or exciting when writing it. That it's another opportunity. Today. Sure, man, we're not playing the Enormo Dome or Cowboy Stadium, but I mean, for God's sake, it's an opportunity. So you got to make the best of it. So there's kind of a freshness, I think, that goes along with that.
And one of your interviews, you said you got into this because you were attracted to the people who were into it. And I think that just comes a long way. You come from that New Jersey thrash background, with the likes like Biohazard, Anthrax, Cro-Mags, and you did also mention to have pride as part of what the scene is about. And I'm attaching that based on what you said about keeping this thing going. And your song "Welcome to Garden State" it's like exemplifies that. Is that how you feel like as a whole, like in this scene? Like you feel like you have to keep that freshness going. Like you don't want to be stale, and considering the musician coming from like a long time playing, how do you freshen things up every year, and how do you not get bored of the same thing? Of course, there's a passion to it.
I think the cool thing, I mean, there's a lot of answers in what you just asked me because we went a few different places there, but I mean, being part of something is something that everybody aspires to some degree. Even if you're part of a group of two, you aspire to be part of something, or many people do, as opposed to being the lone wolf. And I think that that's the idea about this thrash community, is that it was really easy for me to do this because I was one of those people who aspired to be part of that thrash group. Not just the musicians. I'm talking about whether it be you guys, whether it be, I was a fan first. I mean, doesn't it make sense that I'm part of that group and continue to hold value in that group? So there comes the pride into it, that you're proud of the people that you do this with. I mean, it's not just like, oh, that guy's an asshole and that guy's a douchebag. It's like, listen, I may not like that guy and I may not care for that guy too much, but still we have that commonality or that common thread that runs through us, that we like the same stuff and we're part of the same group. And I think with that comes strength. But when you go into songs like, Welcome to the Garden State, it's just, we, much like Texas, for instance, or being a Texan, we think locally, but we act globally. So, the idea is that we've always worn New Jersey on our sleeves, that it's kind of part of our, part of our persona, and we're also proud of that.
Authenticity.
It's the real deal.
Yeah.
You put me in a room with 50 rock stars, I can tell you in 10 seconds who the real ones are and who the fucking posers are.
I think we can actually arrange that. So, do you still get nervous before a show?
Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
I used to, yeah. I mean, up until, I think probably the only times I'm nervous these days are if we're having gear issues prior to the show, or if, it just, you show up late, you have a late load in, but then once it starts, I mean, it all just kind of comes together. I mean, it's just, you're back in the zone again. But when it came to nerves, I was probably getting nervous still up until, 10 years ago, the Ironbound era. I mean, I would come out on stage and be nervous. I'm nervous at the big festivals a little bit, but I think it's a good nervous energy. It's not like, oh my God, I can't do this. It's like, oh, this is gonna be fucking great.
I do want to talk about the big festivals in just a moment. Now, you have been on around the world and just going places, playing shows. What's your favorite part about just touring in general?
Well, over 40 years, I've also, first of all, it's the shows. But over the 40 years, I've met a lot of people. I got a lot of friends everywhere. I mean, I got friends in Germany. I stay at their houses. I got friends, other parts of Europe. I got friends throughout the United States, in South America, guys in bands, not people in bands. I'm meeting an old friend from Jersey who moved down here. We're going to go out to dinner in a half hour. I think that's one of the cool things, is that it's given me the opportunity to stay in touch with all the people I've met over all these years.
Yeah.
Because I can come to them at one time or another, or every couple of years that we hook up and catch up, and it's like no time has passed. So it's kind of a cool aspect of touring.
And speaking of touring, one thing that you guys have developed at Overkill in 19 studio albums, that wasn't by accident. You guys put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and fucking magic in all those albums. And you're the reason that gives me the reason to do what I do. So I appreciate all the work that you've even done throughout your career.
He who dies with the most toys wins.
There you go. That's a good quote. So one thing that you've done is consistency with the band. You did mention about how Overkill was kind of like a blue collar band, and blue collar people, what they do, they punch bucks, were there any new ideas lyrically or musically you try to incorporate with each album, or is it just kind of, this is what works for us, we're going to stick with this formula?
No, when it comes to lyric, it's, the theme itself kind of reveals itself. I mean, you just got to keep your eyes open. You don't have to be a student of life, but I mean, if you're enjoying life, it presents you with a whole bunch of things that kind of tick the imagination, that move the wheels inside the head. And then when you start thinking about it in depth, like when we're doing a record, those experiences that have happened over the last 2 years since the last record will show up somewhere in the lyrics. So I kind of think that they remain fresh, because even though there's repetitiveness in life, that sure, I tour, I write, I record, we produce, we release, we do it again. But there's other things, man. I mean, there's motorcycles, there's fast cars, there's girlfriend in Texas, there's there's shit going on other places. So I don't theme anything specifically with thrash, but for sure I confess my sins, and for sure I keep my eyes open. That's probably the best way to write for me.
Have your aspirations changed since you first started with music as a person?
I don't think so.
Where you are now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's, I would think that probably, I'm a little less edgy than I used to be, but I'm also a little older, I got a little less testosterone in me, I walk in with a beer in each hand and a heart on, every day looking for a fight. That was kind of my vibe, not really a fight, but looking to mix things up, stir some shit up in here, I think it's a little bit different, but I still have that edge when, and the stage affords me that. So things are a little bit different, but I don't know if the aspirations have changed because I still like doing it. I mean, that's really the bottom line. It's not really a career anymore. It's just kind of what I am. So it's not like, I have this big plan for myself in my career. It's not that. It's just I am this. So I live this.
You did mention something about, I can't remember where I saw this. You talked about the 90s and maybe even the early 2000s about preparing for where we are right now. And by that, I'm talking about social media, and how everything is just easily accessible to us. It's like on demand, like gratifying, like satisfaction.
Sure.
Like downloading, digital. Like it's hard to get people to pick up like a physical copy of the album. And what I'm getting at is the band getting to fund itself. And within each of you guys who are in the band, have you guys picked up like anything on the side, like that's like that contributes to your passion for the band? I mean, there's the musician part. It's who you are, but when the money comes in, it's not as easy, I guess, as it was like in the 90s.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, you got to be creative. I mean, that's really what it is. Yeah. I mean, everybody's in the same ship. I mean, the beauty of social media is that it makes everything instantaneous, and nobody really has to. You don't have to search so much out. This is not searching something out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Searching something out is going somewhere to look for it, or used to be the definition of such. But I think that it also obviously helped, if you talk about the 90s and the early 2000s and how social media has changed people's lives personally and with regard to business and with regard to art, this has helped bring Thrash back because instantaneously people knew about things that were hidden about this music. So if it was tough in the 90s, by 2010, bands like ourselves, bands like Ex-Hoarder are on everybody's lips, or anybody who wants to know about them. So that actually helped solidify these past couple of decades here, or at least this past decade, and give it kind of a concrete foundation, a realism that people can continue doing what they want to do, where they want to do it, if they're willing to work for it. But this is where your promotion came from, the phone and the social media. So there's a great side to that. But I do think that back in the 90s, preparing for this era, I mean, for us we just kept doing it. It didn't matter to us that it was, not the most popular genre, or it was less popular than it was in the 80s. Who gives a shit? Nobody did this for popularity to begin with. We did this because we liked doing it.
I think that's the big thing about metal. It's like
it fulfilled something in us, So when the social media came in and there was this, instantaneous information of bands from A to Z across the board, we were ready. I mean, we were prepared with regard to, we were rehearsed, we were in writing form, we were in touring form. It wasn't like, we had to re-gear up and rethink ourselves. We were already doing it. So for us, it kind of worked that we had gone through that era of the 90s and the early 2000s, just doing what we like to do best.
And you guys are still doing it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about the festivals, because I know you talk about getting nervous. I mean, dude, you played at Wacken, you played at Brutal Assault, you're talking the festival of festivals. So.
Yeah.
You've also played Mega Cruise 2019. Explain that to me. How did that come about? And are you afraid of going in the water? That's a whole different, just an area of festivals. How did that happen? Is it just something you guys saw? Someone contacted you?
The cruises were just contacted for.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Dave Mustaine wanted to put together that, that American thrash explosion from the 80s, so he had Testament on there, he had us on there, the Anthrax guys were on there. I mean, it was just it was a real cool vibe about the whole thing.
Have you ever done anything like that before?
I've done 70,000 tons 3 times, and that's a lot bigger than the Mega Cruise was. I mean, the Mega Cruise was approximately 15 bands. the 70,000 tons, approximately 40 or something. I mean, it's insane. They're doing music till 5 a.m. and then they start again at 10 a.m. Where the Mega Cruise was more like, okay, it's going to start in the afternoon somewhere and then go to midnight, that kind of a thing. But there was plenty of other activities to do.
Any festival that stands out in your head, if I were to ask, of course, that goes without saying. Any festival that stands out, hey, Bobby, like if I were to say, what's a festival that you've loved throughout your career that you just...
Well, playing Wacken is always the big deal. We recorded one of the Wacken shows on video. We worked with those people for years. Back in the 90s, 2000s, I mean, they kept a lot of this shit going over there because of the magnitude and the weight of that festival. Booking agencies, record labels, they did so much stuff, managements. That's probably my favorite one because it's just because of the magnitude of it. It's not the easiest one to play because there's people all the way to the horizon, and then it's then they're over the curve of the earth almost.
How does that feel? Just to see that, I mean, I'm going deep into that level here. Like just seeing all these people who are passionate just as you are, being there for the reason you put the work that you do.
Yeah, it shows the strength of it, man, and it shows the strength of the whole scene. I've always said that, when I think when we released Ironbound in 2010, people were telling us that this was one of the best records we had done to date, and my feeling was that it was the equivalent of a strong scene. All it did was reflect how strong the scene had gotten, and I think that that's the testimony to not the record, but to those people at Wacken, to the people in Texas, to the people in New Jersey or other festivals, wherever it is.
Yeah.
Strong scenes make strong music.
Now, I remember when I asked you what other forms of creativity you have that you do that feeds your passion in the band. Can you explain to me about the womb broom? I was like, when should I ask this?
The womb broom. I found the womb broom on. I was looking something up and it showed up for alternate names for mustaches. So I just started.
This is gonna be the best part.
I just started using it. Oh, you got a mustache? It's not a mustache. It's a womb broom. So I found it on the internet. I was just having fun with it.
All right, so any pre-show rituals you guys have?
I'm sorry?
Any pre-show rituals you guys have? I mean...
Well, I eat.
I think that's important.
I eat. I drop a couple of leaves, and it's a great trick for any singer who wants to go the long way because it's an anti-inflammatory, so it keeps the vocal cords from getting inflamed while you're singing. And then it just keeps them nice and intact. So that's probably my biggest ritual. A little bit of warming up, but the leaves are the big deal.
I love how you went all scientific there. It's like that. Okay, now I actually understand how that feels now. Now, out of you guys, actually, before I get to that, Jason Bittner, kid with sticks.
Sticks.
Yeah. How did that happen? Because you mentioned him just being a kid at one of your shows, and now he's playing with you guys.
Well, Jason's always been a friend. He's always been, had a connection with us. He became really good friends with our drummer in the '90s, Tim Mallory.
Yeah.
I think he would stop by. Saratoga Winners was the name of the venue we play. He was up in the upstate New York area. He'd pop by, with a pair of sticks in his pocket. Where's Tim? That kind of thing. Hi, Jason. That kind of a deal. But it was we were using Eddie Garcia, Texas boy, from El Paso. He did the live record with us, and then just couldn't commit to the full touring. And we were sitting in Minnesota, and I called Mike Monterulo, who's our booking agent. He goes, call Jason Bittner. He'd love to do it. And that's as simple as it was. I was sitting out in a lawn chair in Minnesota in front of the bus, my shirt off, drinking a Heineken, talking to Jason Bittner, saying, what do you think? He goes, give me 10 minutes, I'm going to ask my wife. I want to break a tour that I'm not giving up the road anymore.
Ex-Anthrax guy, and Anthrax, you talk about
Flotsam.
You guys.
He's a real thrash head. And he fits in here great. He's a ball buster, which is, you don't want to come out in the road and have to watch your P's and Q's with these guys. You want to be able to cut loose, have a good time, bust balls. If we're not busting balls, it means we don't like you.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So.
I think busting balls is how it goes. All right, just two more questions.
Good.
Actually, I'm gonna ask this one first. What would be your favorite artist to collaborate with if you ever were to do music with someone that you have not collaborated with?
That's a good question. I mean, because there's so many of them.
Oh yeah.
I suppose somewhere inside me, I'd like to think that I could sing with Halford.
Wow.
And
you did
just to shoot, just to make to raise the bar higher. That's kind of the point. Not to say that I can sing like him, but I would love to be able to think that I could. And I think that if I had the opportunity to sing something with him, I would. I'll tell you, I just did Exciter at a cover of Exciter at a Metal Allegiance show out in Anaheim, you know, and I came flying off of the monitors, and I landed sideways with my boot on the mic stand, right? And I've been doing this for like 30 years, but they gave me there were bigger legs on this mic stand, so I hit the thing and I fell right in my ass, right in front of like 1,500 people. It was great, just not. And it's obviously it's on film, you know. You see all the phones up there.
It was all intentional.
So I'm laying there on my back and I'm thinking to myself, I better hit those last notes at the end of the song, or they're gonna think I was drunk. I nailed it.
Hey, you've done Metal Allegiance, you know, you've done guest vocals before. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean,
yeah, it's fun. I mean, I like playing with those guys. I like Mengi a lot, and those guys. I mean, they're good guys. They all get together and have a good time doing it. So you get to collaborate with different people. I mean, usually on covers, they let me write one of the songs for them or collaborate with them.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And geez, on Halloween, Alex Skolnick and Portnoy or Braun from Mastodon, we go out and Mengi, we do Black Sabbath shows on Halloween. So it's kind of fun, yeah. You know,
I think it's really cool how tightly knit the metal community just stays within each other. And it's a great thing. Now, if you weren't a musician, what would you be doing right now?
Well, I know for sure it'd be club riding. That's always been one of my aspirations. I mean, I did it for 10 years, you know, and even while I was in the band, it's kind of hard to keep both up. But but I love motorcycles, and you know, I love camaraderie. I mean, that's kind of the, you know, I'd have to replace this family with another family some way. I think I'm too old to prospect.
Man, I'm talking to you. I don't think you're too old to do anything as far as.
But I still ride. I ride all the time. You know, I got other business interests. I mean, I collect old cars. I got an old Harley. I mean, that's
awesome.
I love that. You know, I love that stuff. You know, I'm just. I don't know. You believe it or not, New Jersey's where I live is a lot more country than this, and it's so I'm kind of one of those redneck, smell like 50 weight oil guys all summer.
In other words, you would just fit right in. You're pretty much Texan at heart right now.
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah.
All right, Bobby, man, I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you guys out there.
Should be great.
I've seen you one other time, but I just wish I see you guys a lot more in the last few years.
Kill it.
You guys need to come back down.
It's gonna be fun.